Well, is it Monday or is it Thursday or is it Maundy Thursday, which is the title of today? And that's a phrase that probably most of us aren't very familiar with. And so let me break that down for you real quick. If you take that word Maundy, which is not Monday, but it's Maundy, which would be Maundy, it comes to us from the Anglo-French word derived from the Latin word, which is mandatum. And that's where you would get the concept of mandate, same kind of root right there. And essentially what that means is commandment. So if you could take Maundy Thursday, it actually means commandment Thursday. And where all of that comes from is John chapter 13, verse 34, where it says, "A new commandment I give you, that you love one another just as I have loved you. You also are to love one another." And that is really where all this comes from. And we're actually not going to hit on that main concept today, but in case you wondered what Maundy Thursday is, that's what it comes from. And so let's go to Matthew chapter 26 is where we're going to be. And there's several things that happen on this Thursday. We're getting closer and closer to Good Friday, which is tomorrow. And so today, things like the preparation for Passover take place. Jesus takes the Passover meal with all of his disciples, which is known also as the Last Supper. It's where the discord happens in the upper room, where Judas essentially is called out and he walks away. And it's also where Jesus prays in the Garden of Gethsemane. And that is the main passage we're going to talk about today. So Matthew chapter 26, starting in verse 36. It says, "Then Jesus went with them to a place called Gethsemane. And he said to his disciples, 'Sit here while I go over there and pray.' And taking with him Peter and the two sons of Zebedee, he began to be sorrowful and troubled. He said to them, 'My soul is very sorrowful, even to death. Remain here and watch with me.' And going a little further, he fell on his face and prayed, saying, 'My Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me.'" When he says the cup, he's referencing the fact that he's about to enter into the crucifixion and death. He knew it was coming. "Let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will." And he came to his disciples and found them sleeping, and he said to Peter, "So could you not watch with me for 1 hour? Watch and pray that you may not enter into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak." A little side note right there, if you're facing temptation, watch and pray. Those are two great ways to be able to make it through temptation. Not tonight's message, but I thought you might want that one. "Watch and pray that you may not fall into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak." And again, for the second time, he went away and prayed and said, "My Father, if this cannot pass unless I drink it, your will be done." And that's the big phrase I want to focus on. It happens back to back 2 times in this passage. Jesus is in the middle of a very difficult moment. You know, Jesus is fully God. He's fully man, 100% God, 100% man, not 50-50, but fully in both of those. All God, but also experiencing all the weakness of man right now. And as he's having this difficult moment and he's walking through this trial and knowing what's coming, he's so upset by this, even to the point of death, as the scripture says. He prays to God and he says, "Hey, God, I don't want to be in this. This is awful. God, help me out. But not my will be done, but your will be done." And as believers, when we're walking through things, we should pray with boldness that God would move. Not be afraid to ask him to do big things. He's a big God. He can do it. But within that asking God to do things, we also need to be in a place, in a posture of saying, "God, I recognize I have my desires, but your desires are the bigger ones. Not my will be done, because my will has flaws. My will has mistakes. My will can be self-serving. God, not my will, but your will be done." And that was Jesus' prayer in this moment. I think Jesus is a great example for us on how we should pray. And so one of the takeaways for me on Maundy Thursday is, let me pray like Jesus prays. Pray to the Father boldly, but also say, "God, not my will be done, but your will be done."